All right, guys, so the internet has been set on fire by recent events where the ATF has issued a letter saying that that the SB tactical brace is not illegal to fire from the shoulder like this. This letter came out last night at 8 p.m. and we caught it. I reposted it here on Facebook, and I also posted it on Instagram. And we wanted to do a live stream today to kind of answer the questions that I saw cropping up last night on AR15.com. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of concern, a lot of questions about the use of the brace. Now, I've always held that the ATF's letter that was written 2 years ago, just before SHOT Show, I've always contended that letter was being misinterpreted by the people or wasn't necessarily accurate, because I've continued to use the brace like this. And ironically, I've recently done videos showing that actually was the case. And now we actually have an ATF letter saying that was written to SB Tactical. Now, keep in mind, there are two different types of letters. There are open letters, which go to the entire industry, and then there are individual letters that go to a single company or to a single individual. SB Tactical had a individual letter sent to them regarding their SB Tactical brace systems. And what that letter basically says, it's a clarification. I know a lot of you guys are going to say that the ATF has changed its mind again, and that doesn't appear to be the case. They've never changed their mind, not since the original approval letter was given to SB Tactical when the brace came to market. There was also a case in Colorado where a police officer arrested somebody out in the woods shooting their braced pistol from the shoulder, and they arrested that individual, contacted the ATF and asked for clarification, and the ATF said there was, in essence, no illegal way to shoot a handgun. The brace being on the handgun does not redesign it into a rifle. Therefore, there is no illegal way to shoot a handgun, and that person was not to be charged with an NFA violation. So there was the renaissance, and everybody started buying the braces. 2 years ago, we got a letter. There was an open letter to the entire community that said, it seemed to say that putting the brace in the shoulder redesigned it on the fly. Here it's a pistol, here it's a rifle. Here it's a pistol, here it's a rifle, simply by touching it to your shoulder. And every attorney I've ever spoken with, in my own common sense, told me that that's simply not possible. You can't redesign something by its misuse. And so the ATF just recently, actually it was in March, issued a new letter to SB Tactical saying, under these conditions, the brace is not considered a stock, does not redesign the pistol into a rifle if these conditions are met. So we have the original SB, or we have the new SB Tactical letter. And then I also want to touch upon some of the questions that we've received or seen posted to the internet. We also have a copy of the letter that was given to Shockwave for their blade. This is the competitive product. And you'll notice that this is non-flexible. It's a hard piece of plastic that you can permanently attach to the extension tube of the rifle. You'll see those dimples in there. And here's a screw that you crank down, permanently affixing this device to the handgun. And we're going to talk about why that's important and why that's different than what SB Tactical is doing, and what the letter says to them, not to any other brace manufacturer. So, Dave, let's first of all, let's talk about the letter that was just received by the community regarding the SB Tactical brace. There's some important components here where they talk about clarifying their original position in the open letter that was issued 2 years ago before SHOT Show.
Before I read from the letter, one of the major comments that we are getting that, hey, I have a SIG brace, and because it's SIG, it doesn't qualify.
Covered?
SB Tactical does manufacture the SIG braces.
Right.
They are covered under this letter. Anything of the SB 15.
Right.
Or so SIG 15.
They call it the SB 15, right, which is the SIG brace 15. All the SIG products are manufactured by SB Tactical for SIG. So this letter does cover SIG products as well as SB Tactical products.
Okay. And then going into this, we'll kind of skip down to where it really gets important. Should I just read the whole paragraph?
Yeah, just read the whole paragraph.
Okay. An accessory that can be attached to a firearm in any one of several configurations must be evaluated to determine whether attaching it in each of those configurations constitute making an NFA firearm under both objective and subjective analysis. With respect to stabilizing braces, ATF has concluded that attaching the brace to a handgun as a forearm brace does not make a short-barreled rifle because in the configuration as submitted to and approved by FATD, it is not intended to be and cannot comfortably be fired from the shoulder. If, however, the shooter possessor takes affirmative steps to configure the device for use as a shoulder stock, for example, configuring the brace so as to permanently affix it to the end of the buffer tube, thereby creating a link that has no other purpose than to facilitate its use as a stock, removing the arm strap, or otherwise undermining its ability to be used as a brace, and then in fact shoots the firearm from the shoulder using the accessory as a shoulder stock, that person has objectively redesigned the firearm for purposes of the NFA. This conclusion is not based upon the mere fact that the firearm was fired from the shoulder at some point. Therefore, an NFA firearm has not necessarily been made when the device is not reconfigured for use as a shoulder stock, even if the attached firearm happens to be fired from the shoulder.
Okay, so what they're saying there, guys, is products like the blade, which is a solid piece of plastic that is permanently attached. You can see the dimples in the extension tube that is permanently attached to your rifle. But it becomes a rifle. To your pistol, it now becomes a rifle if you permanently attach it by tightening down the set screw. And the several blades that I have acquired don't ship with the strap. I suspect they don't ship with the strap because SB Tactical has the strap listed in their patent. They would be infringing on somebody else's patent if they actually shipped it with the strap. It has facilities for a strap, but does not come with one. So twofold, it doesn't have the strap. ATF seems to place emphasis on that, and it can be permanently attached to the extension tube, thereby making it a stock if you fire it from the shoulder. That's why, in my opinion, they didn't issue another open letter to the whole industry, making all braces or taking the same position on all braces. They've chosen specifically to send this letter to SB Tactical. Now, in my conversations with Alex Bosco, who is the owner of SB Tactical, it's interesting to note that 2 years ago, the ATF issued this open letter just before SHOT Show. Immediately, Alex went to work with his legal team and started fighting it. And for the last 2 years, he's been fighting that fight to get this opinion clarified. Now, it's important to note that the ATF has not changed its mind based on the wording in the letter sent to SB Tactical. So all the comments out there saying, oh, the ATF just changed its mind again. It's a year before they change their mind once more. That's not what has happened. They're clarifying their position, saying that the original letter written 2 years ago before SHOT Show was misconstrued. It was interpreted incorrectly, and they're now placing additional clarification on that letter, basically saying you can take a SB Tactical product, an SB Tactical product only, which has the flexible polymer and with the shoulder strap, the arm strap. That'd be interesting, shoulder strap, that's a sling. And you can now fire it like this, or even from the shoulder, and you're not redesigning the pistol into an SBR, which would be illegal. Now, let me read to you. Dave just read to you the letter, and I'm sorry to keep driving this point home, guys, but I just want to make sure that nobody gets in trouble out there. I have the letter from the Shockwave blade, and here's the important paragraph. Based on our evaluation, the FTISB finds that the submitted forearm brace, we're talking about this product, the submitted forearm brace, when attached to a pistol, is a firearm subject to the Gun Control Act of 1968 provisions. However, it is not a firearm as defined by the NFA, and this is underscored in the original letter. Following statement is underscored. Provided the blade AR pistol stabilizer is used as originally designed and is not, all capitalization, is not used as a shoulder stock. So this product is only legal if you put it on your pistol and never touch it to your shoulder. Because it is rigid, it is not pliable, which I believe the original sample sent to the ATF was actually pliable, like the SB Tactical brace. They went to market with something different than what they had originally submitted to ATF. And it does not have a strap to hold it to your arm as a stabilizing brace. If you put this into your shoulder, you have now you have not redesigned, but you have purposely built a stock on your pistol, and now you're in violation of the NFA. It's also important to note that if you take an SB Tactical product like this or like this one's a little bit easier to see. If you take this product and you put spray foam in here and try to make it rigid, or if you take this strap off of it, or if you try to permanently affix it to the tube, right now it's just a friction fit. If you try to permanently affix it, you try to do anything to modify it to make it more rigid, or if you take this strap off, you are now purposely building an illegal SBR. You have to use the product as it comes out of the box. Strap included, slides over the extension tube. or whatever. So those distinctions are important, and we just want to make sure we drove that home. So what does it mean? Well, there's other things that SB Tactical has done, which ATF is okay with. This is one of their new products, and this is a brace. And you saw this. This is the ATF, the nut kicker pistol that I used in a recent video. They've also made a collapsible or adjustable brace so that you can adjust it for whatever your arm length may be. It has 3 different positions: collapsed, mid-length, and fully extended. Let me see your Scorpion. All right, so here is Omar's Scorpion. This is an SB Tactical brace. You'll notice it's pliable, and it has a strap on it, and it also folds the side. This is deemed by the ATF to be a brace. This is still a pistol. This is not an SBR. Okay, you can legally put this into your shoulder and fire it if you want to. Here you go, Omar. So I just wanted to make those clarifications. And Omar, are we getting any questions? I want to make sure I answer any questions that folks may have. Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, I agree, guys. You've seen my videos. I've always contended that that shouldering the brace is something that, look, the ATF made sure that they, in their original opinion, when this thing came to market, they said this does not redesign the handgun. It doesn't turn it into a rifle. It doesn't turn it into an SBR. It's still a handgun with this affixed. And I've always said, you simply cannot redesign something by the way you misuse it or use it. It just doesn't happen. If the ATF didn't want the braces on the market, they would have just said, this is a stock, you can't have it. And that's not what they did. And so the ATF, first of all, has not changed its mind. These things have been legal for years. And now the letter written to SB Tactical is confirmation that it's never been illegal to shoulder the SB Tactical brace. Dave, did you want to jump in? I'm kind of dominating the conversation here.
Well, that's okay. I think everybody needs just kind of the information and background behind it. There is another paragraph in the new letter that kind of drives the point home as far as it, actually being approved.
So this is the SB Tactical letter.
So this is the new one. To the extent the January 2015 open letter implied or has been construed to hold that incidental, sporadic, or situational use of an arm brace in its original approved configuration, equipped firearm from a firing position at or near the shoulder was sufficient to constitute redesign. Such interpretations are incorrect, not consistent with ATF's interpretation of the statute or the manner in which it has historically been enforced.
All right, so that's the operative paragraph that says that the open letter issued before SHOT Show 2 years ago was misconstrued or misinterpreted by those reading it. Again, further driving home the point, it's never been illegal to shoot a pistol from the shoulder. If you remember the video I posted a few weeks ago, I took an Uzi pistol that had no brace on it, an original pre-ban. I was firing it from my chest. I was firing it from, just like a handgun normally would be fired. I fired it, holding it against my shoulder. And I said, it's ridiculous to say that how you use or misuse a product that you've redesigned something. If we take a strict interpretation of the ATF's opinions in the past, it is illegal to fire a handgun with 2 hands. ATF contends, and the law is written as such, that a handgun is defined by a firearm that is intended to be fired by 1 hand. And that's why you have to pay a $5 tax or get any other weapon stamp if you want to put a vertical foreign grip on a handgun. It's asinine, stupid. The law's ridiculous. I agree. The NFA as a whole is ridiculous. But if you have 2 pistol grips on a handgun, that's any other weapon. However, if you just have 1 pistol grip and you use a 2-handed hold, ATF hasn't come down on anybody for that yet. But when the law was written in 1934, it was customary to shoot handguns with just 1 hand, so they included that in the ridiculous law. So
the other interesting point that I've noticed is that these letters are from 2 different branches and 2 different people.
Right.
And it's interesting to note that the new one is from the Assistant Director of Enforcement Programs and Services, not...
It's not the technical branch. It was the criminal branch.
Right.
That issued the letter before SHOT Show, and now we have another branch, Enforcement Programs and Services. I don't know if they're reorganizing ATF, but all these letters are coming from different.
I mean, it's a different person too. I don't know.
So
if that
one for the
holds any
blade.
Significance.
The one for the blade is Acting Chief Firearms Technology Industry Services branch. So we have multiple branches issuing these letters.
And I don't know if it's a coordinated effort or if there's any significance that the Assistant Director of Enforcement Programs issued this one. That's something to. I don't know, it just kind of stood out to me. You would think that they'd have the same person issue the clarification on their own letters.
Right.
But yeah.
So it even seems as though they've gone beyond the intent definition that the original letter that was, well, the second letter that was written by the ATF, I believe, where they were talking about the person that was arrested in Colorado. This letter seems to be specifically centered around how you've installed the brace, because it says the brace in its original configuration that you purchased it in is not considered a shoulder stock. If you make any changes to it whatsoever, you try to make it firm and take the flexibility out of it. If you get rid of the strap, if you permanently affix it to the gun, then you've now manufactured a short-barreled rifle. Before, it seemed to be centered around intent. If your intent was to circumvent the NFA, then you were in violation of the NFA, meaning like I go on Facebook Live and say, hey guys, now this is just an example. I'm not saying this. Any ATF agents that may be watching, same thing. Look, guys, I really want to get an SBR, but I don't want to pay the $200 tax, so I'm going to use this brace as a stock. That is an admission of guilt of trying to circumvent the NFA. Again, I'm just using that as an example. So
I think a lot of the upset people are either upset about kind of the back and forth.
Yeah.
Upset because they either have a product or maybe like the size or the lower profile of a blade. But normally, I think if it was a little bit more generic, we would say likely they'll probably issue letters, with other products, similarly.
Right.
Maybe the blade will get its own letter, or maybe any other competing product will get its own letter. But with this one, it seems that a lot of the features that they call out by name specifically address what lacks on the blade. So to say that, it should apply to all of them.
It doesn't currently apply to all of them.
Right, whether it should or shouldn't, the letter, you have to go by what the letter says.
Right. So and I understand if you guys just simply don't care, you're going to do what you want with your blades. I don't fault you at all. I don't like these laws. I hate them. Nope. I think they're asinine. They're outdated. They should have never been passed to begin with. But if you want to stay compliant, because you won't believe how many emails I get, how many 922R parts do you have in that gun? Some people just want to stay compliant no matter what. Even if nobody's ever been charged under 922R, no matter if nobody's ever been charged under shouldering the brace. And that's true. The last 2 years since that last open letter, not a soul has been charged with shouldering the brace. All right, guys. And here's another thing I want to point out. A lot of you guys say that, they're worried about the ATF coming after you. The ATF, 99.9% of the time, isn't the agency that arrests somebody out at a firing range or in the woods shooting. It's local law enforcement agencies that arrest people. So if they see you out shooting this braced pistol from the shoulder, just like in Colorado, and a police officer gets a little bit uppity and decides, you know what, I'm going to arrest that dude and charge him with the crime, they can still do that. They can still bring you in and try to charge you with the crime, either under state statutes, because some states have laws against SBRs, and if they don't have a state statute, they can try to charge you under federal statutes. That's when they'll bring the ATF in. And the ATF isn't running around the woods trying to bust everybody. It's going to boil down to what your local law enforcement says. So if you're concerned about staying compliant because you're worried you might get picked up by local law enforcement, you'll want a copy of this SB Tactical letter with your SB Tactical brace so that you can show them, I'm 100% compliant. This letter is pretty crystal clear. It's okay. So now that can't necessarily be said the same of the blade. I'll leave that up to you guys, what you decide to do. Now, with regards to what Dave was saying, Shockwave and CAC may have to go back to the ATF and get their own letter that says something similar to what the SB Tactical brace says. But there's a reason why the ATF didn't issue an open letter making all braces under this one new clarification letter that they sent out. I suspect that they have a problem with the fact that this really is, in their eyes, a stock. And again, I don't agree with that law. I think it's complete BS. It is what it is. One other thing, since we have this new letter, guys, I know a lot of you have said in the past, like when I was posting my videos of me shouldering braces a while ago, you were saying, oh, you YouTubers, you got that letter issued 2 years ago. You shouldn't be doing this. We're going to have some anti-gunner put it on CNN. First of all, have you ever seen an anti-gun, anybody, organization, media outlet use one of our videos against us about shouldering the brace? No, that's a silly comment. It doesn't happen. The reason the ATF wrote that letter 2 years ago is because people kept writing stupid letters to the ATF saying, hey, I have a pistol. I really don't want to pay a $200 tax. It's my understanding I can put a brace on it and then I don't have to pay that $200 tax. What do you think the ATF is going to say? The ATF is going to say your intent is to manufacture an SBR and you better pay your tax. Well, they're getting thousands of those letters a week. People would say, well, it was designed for the AR-15. Is it okay if I put it on my AK and can I shoulder it and all this other silly stuff? And they didn't just leave well enough alone. So they just blew the ATF up with a bunch of letters. And keep in mind, the ATF has to respond to every single letter that they get. So it was creating a bunch of work for them that they just simply wanted to scare everybody, I think, and make them stop writing the stupid letters. So now that we have this letter for SB Tactical, I implore you guys watching this video, don't write stupid letters to the ATF asking stupid questions because you're going to get a stupid response.
In the new letter, they actually addressed that in there. So there's, long story short, in 2012, ATF determined that the specific arm stabilizing brace marketed as a shooter's aid to assist in shooting large buffer tube equipped pistols was not a shoulder stock and therefore could be attached to a firearm without the act constituting the making of an NFA firearm. Following this determination, the firearms industry and members of the public sought clarification on whether the stabilizing brace may lawfully be used as a shoulder stock. To respond to these inquiries, ATF published the January 2015 open letter.
Right there it is, guys. I was right all along. It's not us YouTubers causing the ATF to change their minds on things. It's people out there not on the internet writing stupid letters to the ATF and mailing them in that caused the ATF's knee-jerk reaction to stop the flow of idiotic letters. So please, if you have a friend that's like, well, I'm going to write a letter to see if it's okay to put the SB Tactical brace on an AK pistol, implore them not to do it, beg them not to do it, because it's those people that constantly can't resist leaving well enough alone, writing all these mindless letters that got us into this position in the first place. Just leave it alone. Go out and shoot it. Make your videos. ATF doesn't care. I know the ATF watches my channel. They don't care. What they do care about is a bunch of dumb letters getting written by in the volume of thousands per week that they have to respond to each and every one of them. Just don't do it. Go enjoy your products. Quit asking mommy for permission. All right. I think that's about it, guys. Dave, you want to say anything else?
No.
Do we have any questions or just everybody criticizing us?
There's a...
Okay, so that goes right back to it, guys. I think I just clarified the poking the bear nonsense. ATF specifically said in their most recent letter, we YouTubers and video guys, poking the bear wasn't the problem. The problem was people writing stupid letters, therefore getting stupid responses. That 2015 letter was a stupid response to a bunch of stupidity of people bombarding the ATF with dumb questions. Leave it alone. Make your videos, make your live streams. ATF doesn't care. I know for a fact they watch my channel. They simply don't care. What they do care about is you increasing their workload because it's a very small agency and they don't have the time to write thousands upon thousands upon thousands of answers to stupid questions. That is specifically pointed out in this most recent letter.
The thing I don't understand about this whole situation, why it's not being...
I know. I wish people would just get excited about it. Right. I was excited when the brace came out and we got the original, but everybody's like Debbie Downers.
Popping the champagne and
exactly. Guys, we have carried the brace forever at Copper Custom. We've always been a big proponent of all these pistols here today are Copper Custom products. We carry these things. We've carried them forever. And we believe in them. We sell them and we use them. I put braces on all sorts of pistols, like my little NFA nut kicker. And I'm not sticking my thumb in the eye of the ATF. I'm trying to make a point, guys, that the ATF simply doesn't care how you use your brace. Just don't write stupid letters. You may think it's insignificant. I don't. But I think what this is one baby step in the direction of finally getting the NFA repealed. If we can get SBRs off the registry, if we can get suppressors off the registry, bits and pieces, it's the same strategy the anti-gunners use against us. They want a 10-round magazine capacity limit. Like that makes a difference. Like some criminal's going to go, oh, I'm not going to knock off the bank because I only got 10 rounds. They incrementally just death by 1,000 paper cuts, get little bits and pieces where they can until they finally get the band they want. The same thing, that tactic can be used against them. We can get these little victories like this, the Echo Trigger, the SB Tactical Brace. These are small victories that we can use eventually to prove that the NFA is completely worthless. It's a stupid law and it needs to be done away with in its entirety. So yes, this is a reason to celebrate, guys. It's just like you don't celebrate after winning one battle because you haven't won the entire war yet. BS. You celebrate and have a good time. Buy your braces. Go out and brace your pistols. Shoot them from the shoulder and have a good time. Just don't write any more letters to the ATF, please. That's it. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this informative video. I mean, we wanted to get this information out. It blew up last night. We came in this morning, had a bunch of emails. I saw that the threads on AR15.com had gone to 7-8 pages, and I just wanted to get the truth out there, the actual contents of the letter, talk about the differences between the SB Tactical brace and other braces that are on the market, like the blade or the tail hook. They are not covered under this letter written specifically to the company of SB Tactical. This only covers them. I wanted to talk about the history of it and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys have the information you need to now go out and celebrate, embrace your pistols, and shoot them however the heck you want to shoot them. All right, no more questions. Let's make sure. Dave, you want to tie up with anything?
No, I think as long as everybody, is clarified on what the deal is, I think that was the most important thing. No more,
start your builds, guys.
No more rumors, no more.
Yeah, no more rumors, no more innuendo, no more assumptions. I think it's about as crystal clear as we could ever get it. It has not changed anything. It has always been legal to shoot the SB Tactical brace from the shoulder. And yeah, guys, now's the time to go out and buy ARs and AKs and everything because prices are at an all-time low. You want to do that pistol build? You've been holding off because you were worried that you're going to go to jail for the brace? Don't worry about it. Pick up an SB Tactical brace, do your pistol build, and have a frickin' good time. Celebrate what little freedom we still have left, and let's work towards this next 2 and 4 years. Let's work towards rolling back these draconian gun laws while we still have a Second Amendment friendly administration in the White House. We'll talk more about that later. All right, guys, we're going to tie things up. Gotta find my mouse. If you have any questions, post the questions down below. And this is one of our shop talks. I will try to export this video over to the YouTube channel so you guys can watch it over there as well and reference it later should you need to. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later.